what it is. As a Platinum Games fan, I've been really happy with the gacha releases lately. But not only that, I think that action game fans have been eating really well lately. Stellar Blade is just a gift that keeps on giving, man, and honestly, I've put like over 200 hours in that game already. I just can't seem to put it down. And this year, we still have like Black Myth Wukong down the line. Dude, it's looking good. As far as gacha games go, Wuthering Waves was able to provide me something that was really lacking in my Genshin experience. It gave me newfound love for open world gachas and a lot of hope for enjoying like some really good endgame content in the future. In the genre of video games that I play the most right now, which are, you know, the gachas. And this is where Zenless Zone Zero came on. I personally love modern fantasy, and I don't know if this is exactly how you call it. What I mean is like the time frame for where the world building of the story is. You know, it's set in modern times, like kind of like the ones that we live now, except here it's kind of retro futuristic, but you guys get what I'm saying. And then you mix it in with like some fantasy elements, right? It's basically Persona, really. And I mean, I could talk about the things that I feel like this game based off of SMT for like hours, but you know, that's a topic for a whole other video. And back in the day, from what I saw of the early like marketing materials and trailers, I thought the animations looked awesome. It was like Pixar gacha, and the gameplay looked promising. Plus, gacha games are free, so what am I losing, you know, trying this out? The issue to me at the time was that, like, you know, hoyoverse kind of did this already. You know that one game they made with action-based combat that just seemed like a gacha Bayonetta with multiple waifus? And you guys are going to see me mentioning this a lot, but Honkai Impact 3rd really blew me out of the water back in 2018. I remember going like, holy shit, mobile games can be this? And even though I was never a completely active player in Impact 3rd, I did enjoy my time in it when I was in it. It got me 100% hooked on Raiden Mei. Seriously, she became like my favorite character in any game these guys make. And my fear with ZZZ was like, what are they gonna do that's different? Because sure, for as much as Honkai Impact 3rd is still alive today, always feels very dated when I play it. Even Part 2, I'm sorry guys, it's just my personal, you know, feeling here. And a fresh coat of paint on something like this just wasn't going to cut it for me. But I'm just gonna tell you right now that after playing ZZZ for these 3 weeks ever since launch day, you know, up to now where we got our first limited banner rotation, I am honestly pleasantly surprised. And I currently play 4 gacha games, and I really thought like, you know what, I'm gonna try ZZZ out, but I'm probably not gonna keep playing it. And well, for my surprise and my wallet's dismay, guess what? Now I play 5 gachas. So now I'm about to go off on my experience in Zenless Zone Zero of playing it during these last 3 weeks and even streaming it. I really want to start doing this to every like new gacha that I play. But please guys, keep in mind this is a preliminary review, okay? And my views and opinions reflect about 20 to 30 hours of gameplay and, you know, just daily login things during these past 3 weeks. Currently, I'm at Internet level 36, I think. That should give you guys a really good idea of where I'm at. And if you guys, you know, are subscribed to the channel and looking forward to the future, I am going to start doing a full review for every gacha game that I've played for more than 6 months, or whenever I get to max level in said game and know the full experience of what the end game looks like. So I guess look forward to that in 6 months. But for now, let's talk about the combat, because I really loved it. You see, I've had this arc in my life where I just played tons and tons of action games like during the past years. You know, I always played action games, but it really felt like my experience with them was, you know, elevated to new levels. And the ones that really stood out were mainly Final Fantasy 16 and Stellar Blade right now. And I've seen that there are 2 main things that really make me enjoy the hell out of a combat system. They're interconnected, and the first one is just the instant gratification of getting that read on a boss or just a normal monster that you're fighting right. Basically, I'm talking about perfect dodge and parry, but not just that by itself. The second thing that relates to that is really small, but I think makes all the difference, which is when games are really good about rewarding you with like special animations or sound effects for doing that right. Bro, that explodes my brain with dopamine. We're talking about things like the witch time in Bayonetta, the perfect dodges and dodge counters in Final Fantasy 16, and I'm not even going to start to tell you the things about Stellar Blade that I think it got right. To me, it did it so perfectly that it's also a video in itself to talk about it, man. Plus, like, the cool animations of just killing something, you know, because you did something right. And I'm gonna say, for a gacha game, I think ZZZ did that really well. But the thing that surprised me the most is that they didn't limit themselves on just, like, making a parry and a perfect dodge system. You know, it's not just about giving you an edge in battle for getting those mechanics right, but they used that to apply in their main gameplay system a gacha gimmick, and it also solve the problem. And here's what I mean by this. The gimmick is that gacha games are about collecting characters and resource management, but mainly about getting the characters that you like. And since you always have tons of characters, the games are usually based around making teams. And one of the biggest problems I've always had with Genshin is one of my characters would be on screen like 90% of the time, while the others would just come in, skill, and get out. And in this light, making the character switch button also the parry button was insanely genius. The mobs have a very telling yellow light to tell you when you can do that. Other character comes in, bam! Dude, it's so satisfying. There's so many other gameplay elements that also get the characters to rotate. Even if you just get hit like a bitch, boom, you can rotate. But they also maintain the QTE system from, you know, Hokage Epic 3rd. So if you basically play your characters right, you're gonna get the super assist and bring the next one in and get that again and bring the other one in, so on and so forth. I liked it. Compared to like Weathering Waves, where the combat system is more built like, you know, character comes in, does a specific rotation. If you do that right, it activates the QTE for the other one to come in, which let's say your characters stay on screen for about 20 to 20 seconds, you know, depending on their role. But all of them stay on screen for, you know, at least that amount of time if you're playing the game the way they wanted you to play it. In ZZZ, it's almost like every character is on screen for like 5 seconds the most before they change. It's just more fast-paced, and honestly, I really could not tell you which one of them I actually prefer. I think both are fun. I think both of them solved the Genshin dilemma that I had really well. And really that's all I was asking for, man. About the difficulty and the bosses, really it's nothing much. I've played the whole game on like challenge mode, and it never was a challenge. Sometimes I guess I take longer, but that's probably because my characters aren't built the way they're supposed to be. Maybe I'm not playing the exact, you know, right way that I'm supposed to play, but like, it's not like the bosses are hard. And listen, it's okay, especially in the story mode. I do think that a gacha game should be way more casual than hard, even though I am playing on challenge mode. But I really hope there are end game modes, man, that are just gonna be tough. But again, I am on early Hollow investigation levels, guys. I'm really hoping they just get a little more nuanced and, you know, hard to read in the end. So I'm not gonna talk shit on the game before I'm there, but frankly, I have heard things that are mildly concerning. If the idea of making your content harder is just making your boss this huge HP sponge, you know, just giving them more health, dude, that is not a good sign. Bosses should be hard because their patterns are hard to read. They take a while for you to get used to it. They require you to get hit and fail in order to learn and then get good. Failing should be part of the process, and you should be able to beat the boss because you played the game right, not because you are doing a billion damage. Because when you do get all their moves down, you made the muscle memory happen, and you create a good strategy for beating it, it makes it all the more satisfying. That is one of my favorite things in video games, period. And honestly, just giving the bosses a lot of health is even worse in the type of endgame that hoyoverse loves to do for some reason, which is a time trial endgame. And guys, honestly, I fucking hate that. And honestly, WoA is to blame for this too. Now, I'm not a turtle player. I really don't like playing games defensively and just like, you know, stalling and stalling and stalling until you're able to beat a boss. But I do think that you shouldn't rush players into just trying to beat something fast, especially in an action game where decisions of like attacking or not, they shouldn't be taken lightly, because just smashing isn't fun. And if you do that, you should be punished for it. But dude, if people do want to play like a wall, if they do want to play defensively, like with 2 supports or something, let them do it. Let them ignore mechanics, dude. It's their strategy. And I think this can become an even bigger problem for free-to-play players who just don't have the new limited S rank, for whom the current endgame is always built around, which is also a problem, but that's a problem in every gacha, so I'm not going to focus on that. Because then you might have this health SpongeBob that... SpongeBoss, that even if you do everything right in the fight, because you know what, maybe you just have a free-to-play team and your disk drives don't have, you know, the optimal substats that they were maybe supposed to, because I guess you don't want to spend all your life grinding for them. The copious amount of health that that motherfucker has might make you lose your perfect scar because, oh no, you took 20 seconds longer than you were supposed to. Listen, man, your player's skill should be able to bridge the gap between not having that limited S rank or, you know, optimal stats in your disk drives. Putting a time limit and not letting your players do that is shitty design, in my opinion. It forces them to lose their lives, either min-maxing their substats in their disk drives, or worse, having to pull on a character that they don't like in a game about collecting characters that you do like. But again, I mean this, you know, if you play perfectly, and even by playing perfectly, you don't have enough damage or whatever, right? Because of your team composition, you know, you don't have the limited character. You guys understand what I'm saying, right? And I know, the problem here in action games like this is that, you know, some people might be able to abuse the defensive and the support characters to be able to just ignore mechanics, stall out the boss, and beat him eventually. Kind of shit like this. And while I can't imagine why someone would subject themselves to playing like this, some people like to do it. And who the fuck are we to tell them that they can't? But also, if you as a game developer, you just don't want players to be able to play that way, then it's on you to fix the defense and the support characters. Put limitations, dude. I don't know. It's about changing the way the character plays then. Make the character play the way that you want it to. Don't take the easy way out and time gate the boss. God. I'm sorry. I'm going off here, but I really don't know if this is an actual problem. Please take that last rant of mine as something more general that I see in lots of gacha games, instead of just like pointing it at ZZZ. Because honestly, I don't think it will be that big of an issue, and I don't think that the disk drive substats are going to make that much of a difference. I really don't. But I'm not there yet, so I don't know. There's been some really good development feedback in ZZZ, especially for this first patch. So I'm very positive about the game, don't get me wrong. And again, I love the combat and I love where we're going. I think the endgame can become something amazing. It just really depends on what the hoyoverse definition of difficult content really is. Now, as far as the story content that the game has to offer, I have a very non-biased review and a very biased one. Trying to be non-biased first, guys, really, the story's fine. Like, it's alright. Besides the fact that I mentioned before where I really like the setting, I think the fact that the story never takes itself too seriously is a huge positive. The fact that it always has this more comedic tone to whatever's happening, I feel like it does wonders for its presentation. And to me, it was just very charming, dude. Again, it wasn't like this nail-biting narrative or, you know, oh my gosh, what is going to happen? But it also just never outright sucked, in my opinion. It does a good job at establishing every character. You know, their interactions are always funny. And one of the most important things to me personally is how both the main characters are actually characters. They actually have a personality. They both talk and act like normal human beings. They have interesting and funny reactions to things, and it feels like they're actually alive and not just some weird doll thing that only knows how to fucking nod its head to accept the next quest. Frankly, guys, I've never been a fan of the whole silent protagonist thing. I mean, I get it. It's supposed to help you feel immersed, or I don't know, man, help you, you know, project yourself on the character. But I can genuinely tell you that never really worked well with me. I don't know, maybe I have a brain problem here or something, but I've felt way more immersed, invested, and I guess projected in characters like Clive and Geralt than I ever did with Link or Chrono, even though I love these series like unconditionally. The thing is that when the protagonist is silent, everything that they do is kind of implicit, or some other character has to come in and explain what they're thinking. And I'm sorry, but taking a jab at Genshin again, this is the whole reason why Paimon is a thing. And we all know how everybody just loves Paimon, right? So yeah, I definitely appreciate how they wrote the siblings. And overall in the story, again, guys, charming is like the best adjective that I can find to, you know, define my experience here. Just like when Nekomata forgets to like add a nya to the end of the phrase, then Wise goes like, hey, wait a minute, don't you cat girls have to like add a nya at the end of every sentence? Didn't you forget to do that just now? And then she kind of goes like, no, we totally have to do it. Like, I don't know what happened. It's maybe you didn't hear it well. Come on, that was funny. That was funny. I never got bored with it, but again, it's like not the greatest thing ever written. It's all right. Skip it if you guys want to. It's not the greatest thing ever, and it can become really predictable at times. But if you do decide to watch it, I really don't think it's a waste of time either. There's some really good references here and there, and overall, I did like it. Now, for the biased review. The Billabong questline was absolute fire. I lost my shit. And Billabong spoilers, I guess. You see, me personally, I'm a huge Studio Trigger fan. Tengen Toppager and Lagan changed my damn life. And when I saw Anton for the first time, dude, I absolutely lost it. The dude is 1-for-1 a Trigger character. It's like, it's not even a question. He even has a drill, dude. And the plot revolves from the beginning and the fact that like there's this new update that makes the AI of the construction machines, you know, smarter, and it's like going kind of haywire. And then you find out they're actually like developing conscience and, you know, personality. They're starting to feel emotions. They're starting to become a little human, you know. And they perfectly referenced Kamina with Anton's storyline. You know, the Aniki scene, dude, with the machine, bro, I almost cried. Straight up. Then the story goes on. We learn about Kalita's past, you know, the shit her dad had to do. How way back in the day, you know, she named the prototype and they don't really tell us the name. And then right there in the apex moment of the story, the Goran Lagan moment happens and she, you know, screams out the name. And then I noticed like, oh, fuck, they're sentient. They can actually feel. This is what the machine needed to hype itself up. And then her Lagan, I mean her machine, just shonen animes the fuck up. You know, beats the dude. Dude, that was so based. I mean, sure, the whole thing is this huge reference, right? But I feel like they did it really well, man. The story actually felt like this little small passion project that came from people that loved shit like Gurren Lagann as much as I did. So yeah, on this one, I don't care if it's biased. This is my fucking video. I loved Belobog. Belobog was 10 out of 10. You will not change my mind. Now, the story missions, however, and listen, I don't want to bore you guys with this. I already told you I love the combat, but what's the other thing that we have to do besides the combat? Yeah, correct. The dreaded TVs, man. Oh boy. Everybody and their mom in this community has probably already told you how much these suck and how they take so much time out of you being able to just be into combat that it's fucking insane. And the worst thing about it is that it used to be even more back in the betas. So yeah, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I agree. I also hate the TVs and I wish they didn't exist. It's even worse for me because personally, I hate like these mini puzzles that gacha games just put everywhere these days. And I understand some people like them, but I really don't. I always like the main, gameplay system, whatever that's supposed to be, dude. It's just a personal thing. The thing is that in ZZZ, on top of the TVs, these mini puzzles are the TVs also. And man, in every game, I only do them because they give me like the premium currency. And really, I would never even touch them if they didn't give me premium currency for doing it. So it's not fun. It's a chore for me. But I'll tell you what I wish it was. There are these combat missions in the game called the rally missions, which is literally just the action game bread and butter. Go from point A to point B, doing some things here and there in the map to change the layout and beat mobs while you're at it. That's it. To me, it would make this game perfect. Just do this for the story. For every story. And that's it. And yeah, I know it's just Honkai Impact 3rd all over again in that, specific area, but dear lord, do I think that is way better than the TVs. Now, I've heard through some grapevines around the internet that they're actually thinking about completely removing the TVs from ZZZ. I find that really hard to believe, so I guess take it with a grain of salt. Personally, I feel like the system just seems too integrated in it that they can't really take it out, or else they won't have content like at all. But hey, maybe in the future, right? Oh, one can only hope. Maybe if we complain enough in every user survey ever, they might think about it. It's not like Hoyoverse doesn't have the money to do a complete overhaul now, is it? But that's really it on the missions. Let's talk about, one of the most important things for us as gacha players. The gacha system. For the most part, Zenless Zone Zero works exactly like Honkai Star Rail, if you are familiar with that. The limited unit banner has a 90 pull pity, and we have confirmed live in my streams that you do have a soft pity, probably starting around the 76th pull. Once that is reached, you have a 50% chance of getting the limited banner character or one of the non-limited units, which are 6 as of today. And if you do lose that one, the next S-rank character that you do get will 100% be the limited one. Pity carries on from limited banner to limited banner, so that's a plus. And it's basically the same thing with the W engine, which is this game's version of the weapons, except that it's like Star Rail. It's 75% to 25% of a chance of you getting the limited W engine during the first pity. The second one is the one that you want. And in comparison with most other Korean and Japanese gacha games that I've played through my life, I really feel that Hoyoverse does have one of the best pity systems for players, losing only to Weathering Waves as far as the games that I play. Now, I absolutely got duped by the non-limited banner. You see, in Star Rail, if you get a light cone, which is their version of the weapon, in the non-limited banner, you are guaranteed to get a character on the next S rank that you pull. Well, this idiot here did not read and just assumed that it worked like Star Rail because everything else did. So I got a weapon the first time, and then I made a huge deal about, the second pity that I was gonna hit because it was gonna be a character. It wasn't. It was the Nekomata weapon. Oh joy. What am I gonna use it on? I don't have Nekomata, so might as well just shove it off my ass, I guess. So yeah, huge advice here. It's not like HSR. It's always a 50-50. I have no idea why they changed that of all things, man. It's not like, this decision is fucking up Star Rail's monetization, dude. And I know this comes from me being frustrated at what happened to me and the fact that I was stupid for assuming I really was. I own that. But still, I think it's a general dick move to do. Like, you copied everything and this is the thing you don't? Like, why? You know what? Let's fuck up the players even more in the non-limited banner. Why not? So yeah, I'm gonna straight up tell you guys, in my suggestion, never pull on the non-limited banner unless the game gives you things to pull in it. Only pull when you get stuff for free on that. Don't even bother spending polychromes at all, ever. Now, as for the new player rewards, you know, the things that you only get once, Zenless Zone Zero gives players 180 pulls, but here's the thing, 80 of those pulls are Bang Boo pulls, okay? And if I'm not mistaken, you can only get like Bang Boo pulls through in-game, you can't whale for them, so that's a good thing. But at the same time, them giving you Bang Boo pulls really doesn't, you know, affect them at all. So I'm not going to count those 80 pulls right now. Besides that, the other 100 pulls that they do give you, 70 of those are non-limited pulls and 20 of those are limited. The other 10 are polychromes, so you can spend them on non-limited or limited, and we have established here that you should just spend those on limited. They are time gated though, but it's gonna help you get the first S rank, which you can get in your first 50 pulls on the non-limited banner. It's a random S rank, and unlike Star Rail, the 50 pulls that you do in the beginning also count towards like the 300 pull selector super pity, and the one that you do get in your first 50 pulls is going to be random. And listen guys, I know I'm bringing up Weathering Waves a lot, but it's very relevant, so you know, please bear with me. Again, admittedly, hoyoverse games and ZZZ do much better than tons of other gachas that I've played at launch, but compared to Weathering Waves, which is like their biggest competitor now, these rewards absolutely suck. They just do. Weathering Waves had the first random 5-star in the first 50 pulls just like this, but the super pity for the selector was 80 pulls after that one. That's 130 pulls if you're really unlucky, and if you're like me, it was like, what, 90 pulls for both? So it's like a third of what hoyoverse games require you to have, dude. So in WoA, not only did we get the same exact random 5-star the way that ZZZ does it, we got the super pity 80 pulls later instead of like 200 and something, and we got one 5-star selector ticket for free, absolutely no questions asked. Now, sure, you can say, dude, they only made that second selector because the launch was a fiasco. It was insanely bad. And I understand that people had problems with Weathering Waves when it launched, but that's a very personal thing. I'm not going to like defend Kuro here because the game should have been better at launch for everybody. There's really no excuse for that, but I didn't experience any of that. So it was just like, I was just playing the game normally. There were hiccups here and there, but like nothing that, you know, didn't allow me to play. And I just got a free 5-star. So I was like, oh, okay. But I really don't think even that is relevant at all, because the biggest argument in defense of hoyoverse doing the things that the way they do is that it just doesn't make them money, so they can't do it. And Weathering Waves has proved this is the biggest bullshit ever, because they gave practically 3 S ranks away. 2 of them you can just pick, and they still made what, like $120 million in their first month, dude? Wow, giving away those non-limited units really killed them, right? They went bankrupt. Dude, that proved to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that hoyoverse just doesn't give out free stuff because it doesn't want to. Because it knows that people are going to play their game no matter what. This experience with Weathering Waves showed me that what the game really needs are interesting, limited units that everybody wants to pull on. And fun gameplay. And let me tell you, Zenless Zone Zero does have both of those. So no, it wasn't going to lose anything if it just competed in the market and showed us that they like their players, man. That they're willing to do the same thing. Like, dude, at the very least, put your super pity at like 120. You know, do it like the other one did. Make it 80 after the 50. Weathering Waves' success in that regard really cements my opinion that hoyoverse just doesn't give these things out because they don't want to. It really just comes off as hoyoverse knowing that, like, you know what? Even if we don't do shit, people are going to stick around. We're the biggest guys in the market. So yeah, there you go. Deal with it. So I think they could do way better in that regard, dude. Show your players that you care about them. That's why I'm basically free to play in ZZZ. Like, I got the blessing thing, no, the 30-day, but I've whaled like twice, I think, in Weathering Waves. It's just because like the way that they treated us in the beginning and these huge things that they gave us, the fact that the weapon banner is like a 100% chance of you actually getting the weapon no matter what. You know, those things that Weathering Waves I thought did way better in their gacha system and in their reward system in the beginning of the game makes me feel like this is the type of game that I want to support. And I don't think hoyoverse really needs my money. Not that Kuro does with like 120 million, but you guys understand what I'm coming from, right? But enough negativity. Besides all of that, like I told you guys, I loved the way that hoyoverse responded to player feedback in their announcement of the 1.1 patch, you know, hotfixes and changes. And every time I play a new gacha for the first 3 weeks it's out, or, you know, at least the first banner rotation happens, I decide whether I continue playing it or not. Because, you know, right now I'm playing 4. This is the 5th one. And guys, these games are extremely time consuming. So So sometimes I just have to pick and choose, man, and some things might get the axe. Like I told you, the characters, the combat, the charming storyline really sold me on it, and I'm more than willing to keep playing at this point. The positives I told you guys about really outweigh the negatives that I mentioned, and I'm hopeful for the future of the game. Plus, the newer characters, man, they seem like fire, dude. Look at this nun chick. In the end, man, I just wish we get more competitors to hoyoverse, because trust me, guys, competition is really good, and it's just gonna make both, or all the games of this genre better, because they're going to be fighting for you. With Azure Promilia, Neverness Everness, and even Project Mugen in the horizon, I'm feeling hopeful, and I think gacha games are only going to get bigger and better. But yeah, if you guys made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for sticking around. Consider giving me a like and subscribing to the channel if you like the content. It really helps me out, and please tell me, guys, if you are going to keep playing ZZZ, what did you think? I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays on YouTube for now. Tons of gacha content, and I plan to do more variety of things later. And if you're a newer ZZZ player and you're interested in like how to get those 100 free pulls, I made a video about that too, if you're interested in like just finding out how you do it. But yeah, thank you guys again. I've been K2, signing out.